How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis. Preface. Can this book really make me rich? There are few ways that a man can be more innocently employed than in getting money. Why would a rich person waste time writing a book to help other people get rich? Two reasons. Because I enjoy writing about something I feel I know about, and because I believe that almost anyone of reasonable intelligence can become rich, given sufficient motivation and application. It also helps that I'm writing while sipping a very fine indeed bracket or Chateau de Quim 1986 if you really want to know. Bracket closed. Nibbling on fresh smoked conch tidbits ensconced by a window with one of the most beautiful views on earth. Across the valley, far, far below me, palm trees fringe the fishing boats and yachts nodding in the harbor. Beyond the bay to the west, a turquoise sea ripples out to a purple and pink horizon, heralding another glorious sunset. In the words of a Victorian English poet, how pleasant it is to have money. Hi ho. How pleasant it is to have money. I am in Mostuke, a tiny island in the Windward Islands of the Caribbean, more specifically in my writer's cottage, a new study cum library some distance from the main house, built solely for one purpose, to permit me to write whatever I damn please in peace and quiet, which is usually poetry, by the way. And all of this, as if you needed me to remind you, costs money. Is what you get if you want when you're rich. So you aren't doing this for the money. Money is always welcome, but no, very, very few authors become rich. The odds against it are too steep. Merchandising and brand extensions like movies, games, and toys based on fictional books occasionally do the trick. But nobody is going to buy a toy called How to Get Rich now, are they? Then again, there's always the board game and the reality TV shows. Just joking. In this some kind of con job, are you using a ghostwriter? Nope and nope. How to Get Rich is not a con job, and it is not being ghostwritten. I am going to write every word myself in this book. Lord help me. It will contain no jargon or mumbo jumbo, and it is certainly not one of those messianic self improvement manuals seeking to spawn a cottage industry of audiovisual tapes, DVDs, and debut hour long commercials on late night television. Nor will you have to chant incantations or tie healing crystals around your neck. Let's leave the malarkey to footballers and politicians' wives, shall we? How to get how to Get Rich sets out to tell you how I did it, how I got rich without the benefit of a college education or a penny of capital. It will expose the many errors I made along the way, which will contribute greatly to the length. Finally, it will suggest ways in which you can avoid such errors and start on getting rich. Can this book really make me rich? You will be suggesting that it will improve my sex life next. Possibly to the first, it depends on your degree of motivation. In the event of that possibility materializing, the answer to your second comment is yes, it most certainly will. I cannot make you happy, I cannot make you healthy, but I'm pretty certain that I can improve your chances of becoming rich, which in turn will improve your sex life. People who grow rich almost always improve their sex life. More people want to have sex with them. That's just the way human being works. Money is power. Power is an aphrodisiac. It even says so in the Bible. Win maketh merry, but money answereth all things. Money did not make me happy, but it quite definitely improved my sex life. Just how quickly can I become rich? Quicker than you probably deserve, but slower than you would like. There are too many variables for a definitive answer. I have known it done inside 5 years, but there are very few shortcuts, either in life or in this book. As American critic H.L. Mencken once wrote, the inferior man's reasons for hating knowledge are not hard to discern. He hates it because it is complex, because it puts an unbearable burden on his merged capacity for taking in ideas. Thus, his search is always for shortcuts. All superstitions are such shortcuts. The aim is to make the unintelligible simple and even obvious. McKin was right. That's why I determined to cut any pseudo-scientific derival and jargon out of this book. It It makes for good copy and adds a superior's touch of authority to any debate. But it also leads inevitably to error, being comprised of error itself, the delusion that incomprehensible waffle impress its audience. Knowledge learned the hard way combined with evidence of error, avoidance of error, whenever possible, is the soundest basis for success in any endeavor. What will I need to do apart from reading the book? All the usual stuff, just as the brilliant rare old timer Jimmy Cliff used to sign in his most famous song, you can get it if you really want. You succeeded, and so can you, but only if you really do want, and only if you try and try again. But we'll get to that later. Bottom line is that if I did it, you can do it. I went from being a pauper, a hippie dropout on the dole, living in a crummy room without the probable pot to piss in, without even the money to pay the rent, without a clue as to what to do next, to being rich. And I'm certainly no business genius, as my rivals will happily and swiftly confirm. Yet the odd thing is I've ended up far richer than most of my rivals. How did you do it? Read the book and find out. Do I have to read your book from beginning to end? No, dip in and out as you like. Make notes, jot down points you think apply particularly to your situation and your personality. Or make no notes at all, just highlight sentences or examples that catch your fancy. A book like this is a tool, not an artifact, and you do not have to agree with every point I make. One size does not suit all in the quest for filthy lucre. What's the difference between How to Get Rich and all the other books about becoming incredibly successful? Simple. I am not a charlatan and do not profess to be a miracle worker. How to Get Rich is being written for amusement, not just effect or to earn a fortune in the so-called self-improvement industry. And because I have little left to prove in the field of generating wealth, my book is as truthful and as complete as I can make it. Lastly, I don't want to sell you anything else like volume 2 and then volume 3 or a set of patronizing videotapes or DVDs. All you see is all you get with How to Get Rich. I did not become rich by writing manuals telling other people how to get rich. I do not have purely white teeth and I do not stride onto TV studio podiums in casual suits costing $10,000 spouting mantras with a cover version of Simply the Best belting out from the loudspeakers in front of a staged audience of adoring fans. I got rich by my way. You might even say the old-fashioned way, by making errors, lots of errors, and learning from them. Much of what I intend to share with you concerns those errors rather than my successes. In a nutshell, I am not a mountebank. I am just a guy that got rich in the real world, not on the self-improvement happy-clappy merry-go-round, where the only real winner is the weasel with the blow-dried hair. How rich are you, anyway? I don't know, neither does any rich person know. I haven't cashed in all my assets yet and I'm not certain what they will fetch. Let's say between $400 million US dollars and $900 million dollars of net worth before tax. I honestly cannot fix a number any closer than that. 5 homes, 3 estates, fancy cars, private jets always rented. If it flies, floats, or forensic, it always rented. It's cheaper in the long run. Thousands of acres of land, art on the walls, and library stuff with the first edition. Bronze statues littering up the garden. Chauffeurs, housekeepers, financial advisors, and other personal stuff coming out of my rear end. Oh, and thousands of bottles of wine in the cellars. Never forget the wine. Less the debt, of course, around 30 million of debt. Rich people always have a certain degree of debt. Apparently, it helps to reduce taxes, but I'm not so hot on the bean counting side. In fact, I still haven't quite got the hang of a balance sheet. Amortization of always floors me, but then I can't fly the jets or drive the Rolls Royce or Bentleys either. I never had the time or the inclination to learn. My constant refrain when I was bumming rides from friends as a teenager was, "You don't understand. I was born to be driven." Both my friends and myself thought that was just a smart aleck remark back then. Now I kind of wonder if I already knew or at least suspected one or two more questions, then let's move on. Honestly speaking, what kind of people get to become rich? An interesting topic. The writer F. Scott Fitzgerald once said, "Let me tell you about the very rich. They are different from you and me." By which, I suppose, he meant that they appear to have acquired characteristics that set them apart from lesser mortals. Ernest Hemingway's response was, "Yes, they are different. They have more money." Typical Hemingway. But his riposte isn't entirely satisfactory. There is a confidence that radiates from firstborn sons and daughters, not in all the cases I've observed, but too many for it to be a coincidence. A similar confidence is to be observed more often than not in people who are rich, no matter whether they were born with it, inherited it, or acquired it through their own efforts. You can see it in the way they walk into a hotel or a restaurant they have never visited before, in the irritating disposition of rich women to haggle in an Oxfam shop over a designer dress, unlike any working class women who would be horrified at the thought of doing such things, even though she perhaps needs the discount while the rich woman does not. You can see it too in the way the children of the rich appear to assume that the world was created entirely for their sole benefit. Money brings a kind of insonance with it. It is among wealth's least attractive characteristics. Here is Richard Rumbold, an English Republican conspirator speaking from the scaffold in 1685. "I never could believe that Providence had sent a few men into the world, ready booted and spurred to ride, and millions ready saddled and bridles to be ridden. And neither gentle reader could I never could believe that. Whatever qualities the rich may have, they can be acquired by anyone with the tenacity to become rich. The key, I think, is confidence. Confidence in an unshakable belief it can be done and that you are the one to do it. Tunnel vision helps. Being a bit of a shit helps. A thick skin helps. Stamina is crucial, as is this capacity to work so hard that your best friends mock you, your lovers despair, and the rest of your acquaintances watch furtively from the sidelines, half in awe and half in contempt. Luck helps, but only if you don't seek it. The answer to the question then is perhaps this: not those who want to and not those who need to, but those who are utterly determined to, whatever the cost. What are the biggest myths you know regarding getting rich? The first is the claim that people did not set out to get rich but become rich by accident. "Oh, I only did what I love to do and woke up one day to find myself wealthy." That sort of thing, it may have happened, but very rarely in my experience. Some people are merely better at disguising desire, that's all. Others, usually not those who you would care to spend a vacation with, have a naked lust for money stamped on their features, evident in even their most commonplace conversations. But a capacity for disguise and dissimulation doesn't alter the fact that the vast majority of self-made rich work secretly or openly like Billy ought to acquire the wealth. The second myth is that people got rich by having a great idea. While this is more feasible hypothesis than having got rich by accident, it is a trap because it is a partial truth. All of us had great ideas from time to time. I have a great idea for a kind of Spider-Man gun that would shoot out a sticky web at a burglar in your house and disable them without harming them. Will it get made? Probably not. The follow through, the execution is 1,000 times more important than a great idea. In fact, if the execution is perfect, it sometimes barely matters what the idea is. If you want to get rich, don't sit around waiting for inspiration to strike, just get busy getting rich. Thirdly and lastly, I think that perhaps the most destructive myth about becoming rich lies in remarks like, "Well, it was okay for you starting out in the late 1960s, but times have moved on. You couldn't do it that way today." Perhaps not, but you can certainly do it some way. Times change, but human nature, the lure of wealth, and the determination to acquire it remain a shining constant in the world of ambitious men and women. The example of others, not even born in the 1960s, is all around you. They prove such something to be false. If you think that it can't be done and dwell on that too long, then you are likely to remain poor. It's as simple as that. Why start a book like this with a poem? Did you write it? Yes, I wrote it. But that particular poem is more in the way of a nursery rhyme. And I began this poem with a poem to demonstrate that beginning rich has given me the most precious thing in life. And just what is the most precious thing in life that riches can supply? Easy for me, it's time. Time, time to read and write poetry, or if I want to, or to write a book if it takes me of my fancy. Time to travel on the slightest whim, to walk in the woods, to think, to commission art, to read, to drink, to hang out with friends and loved ones, to do just about anything really, as long as it does not involve a day after grinding day making money in an office or a factory for somebody else. And that's what money can do. That's why you picked this book, to make the money to do what the hell you want. Now I suggest you flip the page and read the poem that follows, even if you do not normally read poetry. It's worth a couple of minutes of study. The subject is the destructive power of a certain type of envy. Then skip the introduction, where we can discuss just how rich you want to be. That is the poem. What it's like then being rich. What it's like then being rich, knitting gold to warm an itch. Very much like being poor, wealth is just a key, no more. Why not share this magic key to luxury and to start with me? Surely better than you earn it. Could I trust you to return it? How does one become your ilk? Is it bred in mother's milk? Many paths can lead to riches, few in sunlight, most in ditches. Wherein lies the difference from us, this odd ambivalence? Envy, malice, obligations, straying from poor relations. Grown far richer than his neighbor, why would any rich man labor? Wealth in salt, in wine immersed, quaffing but excites the thirst. Salt my hours, it's filthy greed. How many homes does man need? For some, the tricks in trading it, for others, in parroting it. I have seen, but surely comfort pales, perched or padded chippendales, where affluence holds no surprise. Wonders come in others' eyes, the eyes of Dart and Ho. What might you miss if you're poor? Time's the luggage of choices, first edition, old Rolls Royce.